Hey guys, I wanted to take you through a dermaplaning facial. I did a video like this a couple of years ago, and basically this is just my updated kind of facial protocol when I do a dermaplaning. I literally just finished, and all I did after everything you're about to see is I put on a little bit of lip gloss and I did my eyebrows. That's it. I took my hair down out of the being pulled back. So I'm going to walk you through and you can kind of get an idea. This is what my skin looks like just a few minutes later. So, you know, it's fine for the rest of the day. I'm not crazy red. I don't have scratches on my face. I don't have any sort of, lasting redness, anything like that. So I just thought it would be helpful for you to see kind of how it looks afterwards a little while so that you can see it is definitely a no downtime type of facial. If you're wondering what dermaplaning is, essentially it's shaving your face. It can help offload surface pigment, and it can also help with, kind of that luminosity. It gives a more refined surface for light to reflect off of. So let's get right into it. I'm going to split the screen. You're going to watch the protocol and I'll explain exactly what I'm doing. First of all, I washed my skin, and you're going to see that I used the Touch Glycolic Cleanser. This is basically my go-to cleanser for anytime I'm doing any kind of procedures. Any of my microneedling or my nano needling or my dermaplaning or my microdermabrasion. I like this cleanser. I've shown it several times because for me, it kind of dries out my very, very surface skin just a tiny bit. And that's actually pretty helpful when you're doing like a dermaplaning or you're doing microderm or any of the things I just listed. So I went and cleansed my skin off camera. And then the way that I prep for dermaplaning, and this is probably the most crucial step, is that I wipe my face down with alcohol. I know that that sounds crazy, and I'm not actually doing it so much to disinfect my skin or any of that stuff. I'm actually doing it to degrease the skin. It's really, really important that I get as much of that surface kind of oil, anything that's left on the surface. It's important that I get it off of there for a couple reasons. Number one, it's important because when I do the dermaplaning, it's going to help the blade pick up dead skin cells that are really dried out. And so you'll get a better exfoliation. You'll get a better end result if you do that. But the other thing is when the skin is really, really dried out, the blade runs across the skin. It skims across the skin instead of catches. If there's any moisture in your skin, the blade can catch, and that's how you can get nicks and that kind of stuff. So you really want to spend some time degreasing the skin. Then we're going to go in with the dermaplaning tool. Now, I use an actual dermaplaning tool. This is basically a scalpel. I am not suggesting that you use a scalpel. I'm just showing you the real way that I actually dermaplane my skin. In the description box, I'm going to link alternatives. I'm going to link the kind that have guards on them. So if you are trepidatious about doing this, then you can get blades that basically will not cut you. I will also list the affordable option that is super, super sharp, just like a scalpel. It's by Miss Gorgeous. I've recommended them for years, but you need to understand that they are straight razors, essentially, with a handle. They're disposable, and they are very, very sharp. So only if you're confident in your skills should you be using either a scalpel or the Miss Gorgeous. The other thing that I will list down there are dermaplaning tools. They are battery operated. Those are good, not necessarily for getting a lot of exfoliation, but they're good for getting rid of hair. So if all you're really interested in is getting rid of the peach fuzz, those will be listed below too, because they're a great way to do that. What's really important with these is that you have to lock the blade in where it lines up with the angles. So it takes a little bit of practice, and essentially you have to slide this guy in until it clicks. Once it clicks, you know that you've got the blade locked on there. Now, again, I'm not really suggesting that the majority of you do this, but if you're an esthetician and this is something you're interested in, you might want to practice on friends and family, that kind of thing. This is definitely the more professional way to go. I like the best the 10R blades. The 10R blades are rounded at the end. Let's see if you can see. So this is the end of the blade. They're rounded at the end. I like that because I feel like not only in office when I did a dermaplaning, but also on myself, you're much less likely to poke yourself, poke a client, anything like that, because there are ones that have really sharp tip and they're made for certain things because it's essentially a scalpel. The rounded tip, in my opinion, is the best version for in-office dermaplaning if you're an esthetician. Now, when you go to do the dermaplaning, you will see I make funny faces and I stretch my skin. I will pull from one angle. I'm trying to really get as tight of a surface as I can. So between the degreasing and the holding the skin taut, you hold the blade at a 45-degree angle. So you're holding it almost like it's a pencil and you are literally skimming the surface. The blade should go in about 45 degrees. It shouldn't be like this, cutting down like that. It should literally kind of skim the surface. And you do short little feather strokes. And I always start at the top of the cheekbone area and I just feather stroke down. You literally almost want that blade, it's almost parallel to your skin and you're just feathering. You don't need a heavy touch. You want a really, really light touch. So I do all around my cheek. I do my other cheek next. When I do my mouth, I simply stretch the skin and go from the side. You flip it around, stretch the skin. You can go from the other side. When you do your chin, again, the most important thing is that you hold the skin taut. You make all kinds of crazy faces. Same thing, the blade is almost parallel to your skin. Whether you use one with a guard or you use the Miss Gorgeous or you're an esthetician and you use the actual scalpels, you just need to remember that the blade is always 45 degrees or as close to parallel as possible, and it's light feather strokes. When I get to the jawline, I pull the skin up and I feather stroke there on this bottom part of my jaw. That way when I release the skin, it's actually the whole curvature is done. So I don't ever have to try and do around my jaw in that curvature. Then if you want to do your neck, that's up to you. But some people don't need their neck done. Some people do because you can tell the difference between a dermaplaned face and then you might be able to, especially blondes, then you might be able to see the peach fuzz on the neck. In that case, you may want to. Again, you're going to make kind of you're going to stretch the skin and you're just going to do feather strokes to wherever you're comfortable, wherever you feel like you want to do it. The main thing that I want you to remember right there is that you're going to pull the skin up so that you can get this skin that sits on the curvature so that you don't have to deal with the curvature. That's really, really important because it's very hard to do right there. And that's a spot that is, infamous for nicks. So then of course I just repeat on the other side. I move on to the forehead and you just want to hold tight and you're going to do the same thing, you guys. The important thing with your forehead is to remain relaxed. It's really kind of intuition to want to, make faces while you're doing it. Well, don't do that because you want your skin, you want to be pulling it taut and you don't want to add any kind of, wrinkle or anything like that, any expression where your blade might get caught in, in an expression line essentially. So try to remain very relaxed with your forehead and use your hands to pull tight the area to work. And you just work down in feather strokes. I like to get in between my eyebrows. I don't do my nose. I don't find a need to do my nose. I don't find that there's a lot of hair there. So, you're going to have your specific places that you can tell that you need to have a little bit of attention. What you need to remember is to pull the skin taut and to always do feather strokes and keep that blade practically parallel to the skin wherever that skin is. Okay, so as soon as I'm done with that, I go in with an enzyme peel. This is the same one that I have used for years. I used this in office and I absolutely love it. I've talked about this so many times. This is a really, really good enzyme mask for post practically any treatment. It's just beautiful and it is so satisfying to use. It's by Theraderm. You guys have heard me talk about it so many times. This is fantastic if you have retin-A flakes. This is fantastic if you just have sensitive skin, but you like to do a little bit of exfoliation. This is fantastic. So it comes out and it's like in a gel form. What I want to, this is almost the reason why I made this entire video, because I know a lot of you have been picking this up on my recommendation and I want you to understand how to use it, whether it's after this procedure or you're just using it on a, on a Saturday morning all by itself itself after you cleanse your skin, because it's good for that too. You don't have to use it post-procedure. You can use it just as a nice enzyme mask anytime. You put it on your skin and you're relatively generous and you spread it around. Now you have to sit and manipulate it. You just continue to work it and work it and work it. And when you start out using it, it's thick. And as you continue to manipulate it, it may take 1.5 to 2 minutes of sitting and working it. You'll feel that it starts to thin and thin and thin until it's like there's water on your face. And then you will start to feel the product, the mask, starts to kind of coagulate almost. It has this biocellulose, ingredient in it that you'll start to feel that ball up. It's the product in here in combination with any kind of skin that you've kicked up that the enzyme has started to digest. Together, they make all of these little balls all over wherever you have been working. And I just continue to work it almost like it's become a manual scrub. It's very, very gentle. And I work it and work it and work it. And in this video, I actually ran and got a black towel. Normally I would rinse this off, or I would use a, warm steam towel that's not too hot, but just kind of warm to remove this mask. But I did go get a dry black hand towel just so that you could see the stuff that came off of it. It's really, really satisfying. Right after I remove the enzyme peel, my skin is completely clean. The next thing that I do is I spray it with my Fulvic Mist. Now, if you guys missed me on Amazon Live, I did a whole Amazon Live about my obsession with fulvic acid. It's incredible, you guys. I'm trying to get this into my routine as much as I possibly can. I have a couple other items that have become literal favorites in my skincare routine that are fulvic acid based. This one's really wonderful. It's by Vital Earth Minerals, and it's just a very simple fulvic acid mist. If you're curious about fulvic acid, basically it comes from the decay of plants. I think this one comes from the decay of flowers, and essentially it's comprised of like 65 to 70 minerals. And what that does is it helps to, everything else that you use will penetrate better. Fulvic acid has a small molecular size, so it's able to get in a little bit. And of course, after you've done a dermaplaning, you can get it in even better because you've removed kind of a little bit of dead skin and you've removed that, vellus hair that's in the way. This is just fantastic. It's antioxidant, antibacterial, it's anti-inflammatory, which is great after you do any kind of procedure. You can spray this on your scalp. You could spray this on your fingernails, of course, on your skin. It's just lovely. I suggest looking up fulvic acid if you haven't already. Definitely check that Amazon Live. It's full of information. I'll link that in the description box also. I do have a catalog on my blog of my Amazon Lives. So if you're ever curious about a subject that I talk about there, you can go to my blog and you'll find a list of all of those, and you'll find the subjects and you can just click through. This one was a really, really interesting one. It was an awesome topic if you ask me. So I spray that next. I chose nanoing because I was just due for a nano session. And because I spend time dehydrating my skin, this is an excellent opportunity to get in some hydration and then also get in some pigment inhibiting. Hopefully, if any of you've bought these on my recommendation, you already have them, but it's my trusty Isntree hyaluronic acid and my Queen 7-in-1. So these are not new products. Hopefully, if you follow along with a lot of my facials, you will have some of these products. I have hyperpigmentation. That is why I use the Queen 7-in-1. It is several pigment inhibitors in one, and they just changed it and put a pump on it, which is fantastic. This Isntree hyaluronic acid is hands down my favorite hyaluronic acid that I have used. I have a couple others that I like that I'm going to link in the description box because sometimes this sells out. The Iunik Beta Glucan would be fantastic in place of this. That is one of my all-time favorite humectants as well. It's a serum and it is just gorgeous. It would be wonderful in this step also. I simply cocktail these together. I put them all over my face and then I do a nano session. And I pulled my A7 out, and I also love the nano cartridges for the A7. These are just great. They cover a lot of surface area, and I just really, really like them. If you have the A6 with the nano, that's awesome too. If you have any of the other pens with nano, you can use any pen with nano. Remember that you set the pen to 2 or 2.5 so that the nano chip can get to the end of the cartridge. That's super important. If you don't set it at that depth, then this little chip in there it will never reach your skin and you'll only use this outer plastic part on your face, which is obviously not what you want. Now, when I do nano, I set the speed somewhere in the middle. Just somewhere in the middle. It's not important that it's like actually precise, but I don't do it on the highest speed because I don't really want to irritate my skin, especially after a dermaplaning. And I just don't do it on the lowest speed because I feel like that's practically pointless. So I put it somewhere right in the middle. Now I just do this. I don't go over and over and over my skin because I've done a lot with the dermaplaning, I've kind of bothered my skin. So I really just do, like 1 to 2 passes. And basically all I'm trying to do is push in that pigment inhibitor and that hyaluronic acid to give my skin that drink of water that we talked about when I did the barrier video. I really, really want to feed the tissue some hydration. Now, after that, I go in with an eye cream. I am testing out this eye cream from Belay. I'm not sure how you say it, you guys. This is their triple peptide. I got to tell you that it's actually a beautiful eye cream, but it is super duper moussey. It's hard for you to probably see. It is extremely mousse-like. So less is more. You don't need a lot. The times that I've used it, every single time I've had to wipe a little away because a little bit goes a really long way. But so far I've really enjoyed this. I mean, I feel like this will probably go for like a year because it goes a long, long way. So then after that, I simply put on a moisturizer. Now this one is the one I've been using, and I have to tell you guys, this has definitely become my favorite moisturizer. Now, I have only a select few favorite moisturizers. I tend to hydrate my skin a ton with serums, and then I just grab whatever moisturizer. I have a few that I could actually call a favorite. This is one of them, and this is also by Belay, and this is their Biocomplex moisturizer. You guys, this is so great. The very first ingredient is aloe, and then it has glycerin, and it has shea, and it has squalane. It is just beautiful. It is a really great moisturizer. It comes with a pump. It's 2 ounces. It's the perfect thing to lock in that hydration. It sits so beautifully under makeup. I really think it's beautiful. It has definitely become a favorite. And to me, it's like the consistency somewhere between a serum and a moisturizer, so it's not real heavy. So it just does this beautiful job. You could probably get away with that as a serum and a moisturizer if you're just a normal skin person, like you don't want to do all this other stuff. It's just got those beautiful qualities of both. So I'm loving that. The last thing that I do is sunscreen, of course. Now for the video, I actually just used my Ilia. This one is actually an SPF of 40. I'm gonna be inside all day long. I don't actually plan to go anywhere today. So for me today, that's what I did. If you were gonna be out and about, I would definitely recommend, a dedicated sunscreen, not a makeup sunscreen. But I feel okay with this one today because like I said, I'm literally not gonna go outside for anything. I'm working inside all day long. So I used my Ilia. A lot of you have asked me what foundation, and I've been wearing this all the time. It is Porto Ferro is the color that I have. I do have, this is 10. I also have this in 8, and I can wear them both. Just kind of depends on the look I'm going for. This one, believe it or not, is actually a little bit tan for me, but it's a beautiful, beautiful neutral tan, and I love this foundation. This is one that I definitely will use over and over and over. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's good if you're normal to dry or dry. I would say that if you're oily, you probably would not like this. It's incredibly hydrating and dewy. And if you're combo, I'd get a sample before I bought it also because it is so hydrating and dewy. So I would just, just to be careful. So that is how I finish off. I will tell you that in the video, I went in with my Ilia right after because I was filming. Normally, I would definitely let everything just sit for probably 30 minutes before I put on the sunscreen because you have so many layers of serum that you can definitely end up with a little bit of pilling and whatnot. So I went in after. I did get a tiny bit of pilling around my eyes because I was doing a lot of rubbing, but I know that that could have been alleviated if I'd have just waited a little while. But note to self, if you decide to follow this routine exactly, give everything a little bit of time to really soak in before you go in with that Ilia, and then you should be good against the pilling and whatnot. So that's the total facial, you guys. You know, there's all kinds of ways that you can modify this to however you want to do it. This was the protocol that I chose today. If you guys have any questions, definitely leave them down below. Thank you for joining me for this little facial. My skin feels like a baby's butt now. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you in my next skincare video. Take care.